Migrants waiting under the blazing sun. All these people here are going to be asking for asylum.
It's a very critical situation.
Do the summertime.
So if you're heading out to the beach today, there are some new warnings about sharks. 2 teens are recovering after being bitten in the water on the same day off the coast of Long Island, New York. Here's NBC News senior national correspondent Stephanie Goss.
Fresh shark fears off the coast of New York, prompting new warnings for beachgoers heading out to celebrate the July 4th holiday.
Shark attack at the lifeguard station, Kismet Beach. Rescue's been notified.
2 incidents happening just 7 miles apart. On Monday, Long Island police responded to calls of a shark attack at Kismet Beach on Fire Island. Police say a 15-year-old boy was surfing when he was bitten, puncturing his left heel and toes.
He was able to swim to shore where our Marine Bureau and a Good Samaritan were able to assist him, give him some assistance, and get him over to a local hospital where he's recovering with non-life-threatening injuries.
Earlier in the day at Robert Moses State Park, officials say a 15-year-old girl was treated for 3 small bite wounds on her left leg.
We heard a whistle blow, screaming everyone to get out.
It's unknown what bit her. Authorities say a state park's drone was immediately deployed, but was unable to detect any, quote, dangerous marine life, including sharks, in the area. Though shark attacks are still very rare, there have been multiple encounters this summer, including 3 in Florida in a little over a week. And back near Long Island, there's been a recent increase of tiger and sand sharks swimming closer to shore.
I think it's crazy. There's been a lot of shark attacks happening on the beaches. There's been a lot of warnings at sharks.
A warning to those headed out to catch a wave and soak up the sun this holiday week. Be aware of your surroundings.
If you see something that looks like some type of shark or one of these bunker fish that they swim in these pods, it's probably a good idea to leave the water and notify some type of authority.
Stephanie Goss, NBC News.
Well, Kate, from the ocean to the mountains, a stranded hiker was rescued in California after her iPhone sent an SOS. The new feature is being called a game changer by first responders. NBC News correspondent Aaron McLaughlin spoke with that hiker about the life-saving technology.
This remarkable rescue from a remote area of the Los Angeles National Forest made possible by modern-day tech. About halfway through a 4-mile hike last week, Juana Reyes fell down an incline, fracturing her leg.
The pain was so unbearable, and my foot was swelling to maybe twice the size of its normal.
On a trail like this one, Reyes didn't have cell service, but she did have an iPhone 14, which boasts a new feature, Emergency SOS.
The feature, which is only on the latest iPhone model, can contact first responders, allowing you to let them know what the problem is, where you're located, even how many people you're with. All through satellite connection, no cell service required. It's the 3rd satellite call LA County Search and Rescue says they've received this month. Last December, LA County Sheriff's deputies rescued a couple after their car spun off a cliff, falling nearly 300 feet.
We were completely upside down.
Their shattered iPhone sending the emergency text.
It said, collision detected. Would you like us to report it to emergency services?
Their coordinates sent to rescue crews who hoisted them to safety. And just this past May,
we received a 911 text stating that there was approximately 10 hikers lost in the area.
A group of teenagers had been stranded in Southern California's Santa Paula Canyon. One teen's iPhone sent the SOS message that led rescuers down an hour-and-a-half hike into the canyon, where the group was found safe.
They certainly were not going to get out of there on their own. It's a game changer, frankly.
For a few $100, personal location beacons can send a distress signal to rescuers no matter where you are, and without a subscription fee. Similar products are available from Garmin, and certain Android phones will soon offer satellite communication. Still, for Reyes, it's comforting to know her phone is a lifeline.
It's potentially saved you.
Yes, it was literally the only way that we got communication out for EMS.
Erin McLaughlin, NBC News.
Coming up, the new lawsuit taking aim at legacy admissions for children of alumni at Harvard. You're watching NBC News Daily.
From prom dresses to workouts and new adventures, you hope the more you give, the less they'll miss. But even if your teen was vaccinated against meningitis in the past, they may be missing vaccination for meningitis B. Although uncommon, up to 1 in 5 survivors of meningitis will have long-term consequences. Now, as you're thinking about all the vaccines your teen might need, make sure you ask your doctor if your teen is missing meningitis B vaccination.
Ashley's Stars and Stripes sale is happening now. Don't miss instant savings on select items up to $1,000 off. And all veterans and active military will receive 10% off their purchase. Plus, get 60-month special financing. Shop and save today, only at Ashley.
I'm gonna pull over and stretch my legs.
I think he was supposed to keep left there.
What is this place?
The other side of the rest stop.
Bundles as far as the eye can see. If you're looking for a first mate, I know a guy. Me, I'm the guy.
Is this Oak?
4 types of jerky. This is where I live now.
You could save a ton with Progressive by bundling your boat or RV with your home and auto.
Hey guys, free bags! They're just giving them away.
Oof, gotta get rid of this.
Tell me why.
Because it stinks.
Have you tried Downy Rinse and Refresh?
It helps remove odors 3 times better than detergent alone.
It worked, guys.
Yeah.
Downy Rinse and Refresh.
Some days I cover up because of my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis. Now I feel free to bare my skin thanks to Sky Rizzy. I'm celebrating my clearer skin my way. With Sky Rizzy, 3 out of 4 people achieved 90% clearer skin at 4 months. In another study, most people had 90% clearer skin even at 5 years. And Sky Rizzy is just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms, had a vaccine, or plan to.
Thanks to clearer skin with Sky Rizzy, this is my moment. There's nothing on my skin, and that means everything. Now's the time. Ask your doctor about Sky Rizzy, the #1 dermatologist prescribed biologic in psoriasis. Learn how AbbVie could help you save.
This is the Fast Forward on NBC News Daily. I'm Audrey Assistio. Happy 4th of July. As you can imagine, a lot of festivities across the Bay Area. And our Ginger Conejero Saab is in Sausalito, taking in the first real parade there in a few years.
Well, this parade took a break during COVID, and since 2020, there have been versions of it, but this is really the first time that community members say it looks and feels like the way that things did before COVID. Take a look at the parade happening here along Caledonia Street. We're on the corner of Locust and Caledonia. You're seeing some Little Leaguers share some candy with us. There you go. Happy 4th of July, guys. The parade started at 10 this morning, and it's now just wrapping up before some more festivities. Thank you. I just had a little leaguer give me a piece of candy. That's very sweet. A lot of people are in the 4th of July energy here. A lot of red, white, and blue music and costumes. We had Captain America paying a visit to the parade as well. There are over 30 floats competing for prizes from local judges. And we talked to a number of locals this morning who are very happy to be out this 4th of July to celebrate America's birthday. But for members of the Dunphy family, this parade is extra meaningful.
But it's just seeing the community come together and people from all over Marin and just get together, hang out by the water. And this parade has always been real festive and different than most other parades too, which makes it unique. And
yeah, there you go. Take a look at some of this talent from Little Leaguers. We just had a guy dancing, a little boy dancing. There you go, break dancing on the street there with some candy. All of this, all the fun, 4th of July fun, a precursor to the fireworks show here that starts at 9 o'clock here in Sausalito. Across the bridge, it's at 9:30 over in San Francisco. The show is free. After the parade here, people are going to head over to Dunphy Park for a picnic all day, more dancing, more music, and a lot of 4th of July fun. In Sausalito, Ginger Conejero, Saab, NBC Bay Area News.
Such a great day in Sausalito. Ginger, thank you. And here's some other stories you need to know about today. The Warriors get their preseason underway with some nice performances. Robots are helping clean up the beaches of Lake Tahoe, but first, tuition hikes may be on the way for Cal State students. The 23 school system recently posted its plan to raise funds starting in the fall of next year. It is proposing a tuition increase of 6% every year for the next 5 years. So that means undergrad would go from costing $5,700 a year to $7,700 a year. Trustees are going to be debating the proposal 1 week from today. Well, this year, volunteers working to keep Tahoe blue will have some high-tech help. An organization called the League to Save Lake Tahoe is enlisting a robot to help pick up all that trash. Last year, the League cleaned up 5 beaches by itself, and they're hoping the robot helps them boost their productivity. All right, summer is always the time for the NBA's future to shine, and last night in Sacramento, Warriors got their Summer League games going in the California Classic. Team is filled with hopefuls and recent draft picks. 22-year-old G League player Lester Quinones led the way with 26 points, but the Warriors still lost to Sacramento 100-94. They're going to take on the Hornets tomorrow and later this week head to Vegas for more Summer League games. All right, it is one of the biggest days of the year for being outside. So how's the weather looking today? Meteorologist Carrie Hall has our forecast.
Well, here's a look at our high temperatures for this 4th of July across the Bay Area, staying cool along the coastline and in San Francisco with 70s in San Mateo. But as you move across the bay and into the inland areas, it's still going to be warm this afternoon, reaching into the upper 80s in Livermore, about the same in Morgan Hill, and a lot more of a comfortably warm feel for the North Bay with highs in the upper 70s in Napa. But we do continue on a cooling trend over the next few days, so our coastal areas will stay in the 60s, but the inland valleys will have a big noticeable difference compared to what we had over the weekend, with highs only in the low 80s. We'll take a look at how cool it gets in our 7-day forecast that's coming up in about 30 minutes.
All right, Carrie, we'll see you later. Here's a story that was brought to our attention. Were you able to see this yet? Someone posted this video on Instagram. They tagged NBC Bay Area. That is a bear having themselves a nice swim in Lake Tahoe. It's been pretty warm up there. A few witnesses say the bear swam right past them, possibly trying to get away from the crowds gathered in the water and on shore. Well, that does it for this edition of the Fast Forward. I'll be back in 30 minutes with more news.
Living with metastatic breast cancer means I cherish my memories. But I don't just look back on them. I look forward to the chance to make new ones every day with Verzenio.
Verzenio is proven to help you live significantly longer when taken with fulvestrant. Verzenio plus fulvestrant is for HR-positive, HER2-negative metastatic breast cancer that has progressed after hormone therapy. Diarrhea is common, may be severe, or cause dehydration or infection. At the first sign, call your doctor, start an antidiarrheal, and drink fluids. Before taking Verzenio, tell your doctor about any fever, chills, or other signs of infection. Verzenio may cause low white blood cell counts, which may cause serious infection that can lead to death. Life-threatening lung inflammation can occur. Tell your doctor about any new or worsening trouble breathing, cough, or chest pain. Serious liver problems can happen. Symptoms include fatigue, appetite loss, stomach pain, and bleeding or bruising. Blood clots that can lead to death have occurred. Tell your doctor if you have pain or swelling in your arms or legs, shortness of breath, chest pain, and rapid breathing or heart rate, or if you are nursing, pregnant, or plan to be.
I'm making future memories every day with Verzenio.
Ask your doctor about everyday Verzenio.
I told myself I was okay with my moderate to severe rheumatoid arthritis symptoms.
With my psoriatic arthritis symptoms. But just okay isn't okay.
And I was done settling.
If you still have symptoms after a TNF blocker like Humira or Enbrel, Rinvoq is different and may help. Rinvoq is a once-daily pill that can dramatically relieve RA and PSA symptoms, including fatigue for some. It can stop joint damage, and in PSA, can leave skin clear or almost clear.
Rinvoq can lower your ability to fight infections, including TB, serious infections and blood clots, some fatal, cancers including lymphoma and skin cancer, death, heart attack, stroke, and tears in the stomach or intestines occurred. People 50 and older with at least one heart disease risk factor have higher risks. Don't take if allergic to Rinvoq, as serious reactions can occur. Tell your doctor if you are or may become pregnant.
Done settling?
Ask your rheumatologist for Rinvoq.
And take back what's yours.
Learn how AbbVie could help you save.
We make the show because people like you.
It was like magic watching you. What's he gonna do?
I don't know.
Bottom of the hour now, here are some of the stories making headlines on NBC News Daily.
In just over 48 hours, authorities have recovered 4 bodies from the Rio Grande River, which runs along the U.S.-Mexico border. One was a baby girl. The Texas Department of Public Safety says none of the bodies have been identified. 2 others were also pulled from the river and turned over to U.S. Border Patrol.
A roller coaster scare in Wisconsin. A ride got stuck and left people hanging upside down for more than 3 hours at a festival in the northeast part of the state. A firefighter on scene said there was a mechanical failure and said the coaster had recently been inspected by the state. All the passengers up there were safely rescued, thank goodness, and taken to the hospital for evaluation.
And get ready to pay more at the post office. The U.S. Postal Service is raising the price of forever stamps for the second time this year. They will go up from 63 to 66 cents this Sunday. The stamps can be used no matter when they were purchased. The Postal Service has cited inflation and rising operating expenses as reasons for the price hike.
We have breaking news out of Israel, where violence is escalating. At least 8 people were hurt today in Tel Aviv after a car and stabbing attack. Police say the vehicle targeted people at a shopping center. The attacker rammed into a sidewalk and then got out of the car and lunged at people with a sharp object. The militant group Hamas praised that attack as a, quote, natural response to Israeli raids that have been happening in the occupied West Bank. At least 10 people have been killed in those raids and more than 100 have been hurt. It's all being called Israel's largest military operation in West Bank, in the occupied West Bank, in 20 years. NBC News foreign correspondent Josh Letterman joins us now. Josh, Prime Minister Netanyahu said the operation in Jenin, which is in the West Bank, is nearing completion. What was Israel's goal with all this to begin with?
Well, Kate, Israel says that its goal was to eliminate what it has described as an extreme terror threat coming from that refugee camp in Jenin, with the Israeli government asserting that they have been able to track 50 terror attacks that they say emanated from that one refugee camp in Jenin. And they say that it has become a hotbed for extremism. Prime Minister Netanyahu described it as a nest of terrorists. And so over the last 36 plus hours, Israel says that it has confiscated more than 1,000 weapons that it found in and around that refugee camp. The government says that they have been able to go after operational situation rooms used by extremists, as well as IEDs, an explosives factory, and even tunnels that they say were being built to use to carry out terror attacks. But of course, the Palestinians, they think that this is a complete overreaction. They have described what Israel has done over the last day and a half or so as barbaric, as new war crimes. They are calling for an immediate UN Security Council meeting to discuss this. And of course, the big concern is how violence could just simply escalate. As we so often see when Israeli-Palestinian violence breaks out, there starts to be a tit-for-tat response, such as that attack that you just described in Tel Aviv. The concern is it could expand even farther, potentially including rockets that could come from the Gaza Strip, from Lebanon, where Hezbollah is located, as well as potentially from Syria.
We know that the world is watching this. So what has the international response been like, and what are the fears among international leaders that this could get worse?
Though that is the big fear among international leaders. The United Nations Humanitarian Office has come out saying they are very concerned about the broad scale of the Israeli operation. They are also alleging that Israel has been denying access to medical care, ambulances, the right of way to be able to get to the injured in this Palestinian refugee camp in Jenin. Now, of course, the Israeli government disputes that. But in the meantime, we've also heard from the U.S. State Department, which is standing firmly behind Israel's right to self-defense, including its right right to carry out this operation, but the U.S. also warning that they want to see Israel do everything possible to minimize civilian casualties, with Palestinian health officials saying that more than 100 Palestinians have been injured in this raid so far. Kate?
All right, Josh Letterman tracking that for us. Josh, thank you. There are new developments in the case of Evan Gershkovich, the Wall Street Journal reporter jailed in Russia. The State Department says the U.S. ambassador to Russia, Lynn Tracy, was able to visit with Gershkovich in a prison yesterday. The State Department says he's in good health. It's only the second visit by U.S. officials since Gershkovich was arrested on espionage charges back in March. A Russian government spokesman confirmed that talks are happening with the U.S. about a possible prisoner swap.
Well, Kate, here in the U.S., while today is a day of celebration in so many cities across the country, in Highland Park, Illinois, it is a day of remembrance. Today marks 1 year since that horrific mass shooting during a 4th of July parade. 7 people were killed and another 48 people were injured by bullets and shrapnel. Among the victims, Irina and Kevin McCarthy, parents who left behind their young son, Aiden. He was found alone wandering the streets in the aftermath of the attack. NBC News correspondent Jesse Kirsch joins us now from Highland Park, where it all happened. So, Jesse, first off, how is the town remembering the victims and survivors today?
Yes, Sinclair, there's a mix of things going on here. There was a moment of silence earlier at the time that the first gunshots rang out here a year ago. Today, there was a walk after that through this area behind me here. This was the parade route in 2022, and this time around it became a walk route, which was meant to be a reclaiming of this community. So I can tell you that the sentiment of today's events is a mix of memorializing and celebration, and really I think comes together in a sense to be defiance in the face of the violence that unfolded here last year. Here's part of what the mayor shared earlier.
We thought about the very real need, obviously, to reflect and remember the tragedy that happened here, but then also recognized, especially for our children, we don't want them to not have the opportunity to celebrate the 4th of July. Evil doesn't win, and this is our parade route, and this is our community that we are taking back.
So again, taking back the community after what the mayor described as the bloodiest day in the history of this community last year, trying to move forward. And so even on people's shirts, you could see some memorializing, honoring this community, but also the red, white, and blue on display here today, Sinclair.
Yeah, so important to remember those who were lost and those who survived. Jesse Kirsch, thanks for that.
Thousands of hotel workers in Southern California are still off the job, on strike. The union representing hospitality workers in that region is on strike, demanding better working conditions and better pay. NBC News correspondent Nayela Charles joins us now. Nayela, who are we talking about here, and what specifically are these workers asking for? Why now?
Well, look around here, Kate. I'm surrounded by hundreds of workers on strike here in downtown Los Angeles. They've been marking. They walked out on the job. They're in front of the hotels they work at, demanding higher pay. They say they need that for their families. There's some people that have come here with their kids to show what's at stake here. They say they need to be able to live here so they can support their families. Take a look at this banner here. It says, "We work in LA hotels but can't afford to live here." If you look right here, it says $39.31. That's the average price of a 2-bedroom apartment here in LA. And most of these workers only make around $18.86. So that's not enough. What they're asking for is a $5 raise right now. They're also asking for an annual wage increase. And they're also asking for more benefits. So if you take a look at their signs here, it says, "Huelga," that means on strike in Spanish. They've also been chanting "Si se puede," yes they can. And they say the reason they're here today on the 4th of July is to use their freedom to fight for justice. Take a listen to what one of the strikers told me.
The hotel executives have been raking in money since the middle and beginning of the pandemic. They've gotten $15 million of bailouts from the government, while the workers, the dishwashers, the servers, the housekeepers are barely scraping by.
Negotiations right now with the hotel are on a standstill right now. For the last couple of days, the two groups haven't even met. In response to the strikes, the hotels are backfilling the position that all these people left here with non-union for 2 wages. Now, hotels around us are sold money for their stays. They want those hotels to use the profits to benefit them so that they can live respectable lives. So going forward, I asked them, look, how willing are you willing to take this? And the strikers here say as long as it takes, because they're fighting for health care benefits. They're fighting for the ability to keep a roof over their heads, Kate. So a lot is at stake for them right now.
Yeah, and Nayela, what have we heard on the other side from the hotels, the management?
Well, the hotels in response have said it's not just expensive for the workers to live here, it's expensive for everyone here. They've also punted that to local governments here in Los Angeles, telling them that it's their duty to fix the housing crisis, also pointing out the federal government for the inflation rate right now. But when you speak to the people here, they're trying to get some relief the fastest way they can. And all of their demands here reflect what we've seen across the country from several industries, because they cannot afford to live with inflation being so high.
Nayela Charles following that for us. Nayela, thank you.
A group of activists has filed a federal civil rights complaint against Harvard University over its practice of legacy admissions. They claim giving preference to children of alumni is a discriminatory practice that violates the Civil Rights Act. NBC News correspondent Stephen Romo joins us now for more on this. So, Stephen, this, of course, all comes just days after the Supreme Court's decision to actually end affirmative action in colleges and universities. Why does this complaint focus on legacy admissions as a response to that decision?
Yeah, in large part, Clay, because this complaint says legacy admissions benefit white people more than minorities. Now, the group Lawyers for Civil Rights filed this complaint on behalf of Black and Latino organizations. And you can see the number there on your screen, brought by the National Bureau of Economic Research, also cited in this complaint, saying 70% of the school's legacy or donor-related applicants are white. Now, the legacy students, by the way, at minimum, were 5 times more likely to be admitted after applying as well, also listed in the complaint. Now, opponents of these policies saying without affirmative action to counterbalance these policies of legacy admissions, that the practice should be illegal. The group also saying this could potentially be a violation of the Civil Rights Act. They're asking the federal government, the Department of Education, to step in and end these practices.
And I mean, Stephen, beyond this complaint, I'm sure there just has been a larger dialogue, right, about admissions as a whole, legacy admissions in the aftermath of SCOTUS's ruling. What are you hearing?
Yeah, that's something we saw almost immediately after the Supreme Court ruling on affirmative action came down. People like Barbara Lee, a representative from California, saying that affirmative action will still exist, in this case for white people. She's talking about legacy admissions there due to their disproportionately benefiting white applicants to these schools. It's something we heard from other schools as well. Amherst, Johns Hopkins University, they have already stopped these policies of legacy admissions because they have already said that they've taken a look at the fairness, and it's just not theirs in Clay.
Definitely a story to watch, especially as you look at the demographics of who's a first-generation college student as well. Stephen Romo, thank you so much.
A statue honoring Sally Ride, the first American woman in space, is being unveiled today in California. The bronze statue depicts her wearing a NASA jacket, holding a space shuttle. Its home base will be the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library and Museum in Simi Valley, California. Why there? Ride was a California native, and Reagan was president when she flew aboard the Space Shuttle Challenger back in 1983. Sally Ride died from pancreatic cancer in 2012. Her sister will be speaking at today's unveiling ceremony. Coming up, some helpful advice for parents on how to keep kids safe in the summer heat. You're watching NBC News Daily.
NBC News Daily, weekdays on NBC.
NBC Bay Area Responds.
Y Telemundo 48 responde.
We help you get your money back.
También respondemos sus dudas como consumidor y le ayudamos a encontrar recursos que necesita.
Contact us anytime. It's easier than ever. Just scan one of these QR codes with your phone's camera and fill out the form online.
En inglés o en español.
And check out my how-to videos so you can learn from other people's questions. NBC Bay Area Responds.
Y Telemundo 48 responde.
We find solutions that move you forward.
The Ford Store Morgan Hills 4th of July Sell-A-thon is going on now. Just announced an additional $1,000 Ford rebate, plus 0% APR on many new Ford models. Get our low bottom line sale prices only at the Ford Store Morgan Hill.
At Lazy Boy Furniture Galleries, we know everyone has their favorite spot. It's the 4th of July sale. For a limited time, you can save 30% on everything in the store. Lazy Boy Furniture Galleries. Live life comfortably.
A texting driver hit me and put me in the hospital. I know a lawyer can help me, but I can't afford one. I'm broke.
We understand. That's why my brother and I decided we'd never charge anything up front to start working on your case.
Not one penny.
I called the Law Brothers after my accident, and they got me $240,000. I'm not broke anymore.
I'm attorney Sean Lalazari.
And I'm attorney Shervin Lalazari. Call us. We're the Law Brothers.
Call 415-900-0000.
Your brain is an amazing thing. But as you get older, it naturally begins to change, causing a lack of sharpness or even trouble with recall. Thankfully, the breakthrough in Prevagen helps your brain and actually improves memory. The secret is an ingredient originally discovered in jellyfish. In clinical trials, Prevagen has been shown to improve short-term memory. Prevagen, at stores everywhere without a prescription.
Northern California homes have always been at the heart of airport home appliance, in all shapes and sizes, because there's not just one type of neighborhood, family, or ambition. And at the heart of every home is a kitchen, and the desire to make it everything it needs to be, because we believe the kitchen is what brings us together, and we're committed to making that desire for a better kitchen a little more within reach. Shop 4th of July savings and get zero interest financing and exclusive rebates at Airport Home Appliance.
Well, today's July 4th, of course, and a lot of folks are celebrating outdoors, whether you're spending the day at the beach or the pool or a backyard picnic. It's kind of important to keep you and your loved ones safe, especially as the temperatures are rising.
Yeah, it's been hot, especially since 31 million Americans are currently under heat alerts, meaning millions of people dealing with those temperatures close to 100 degrees today are going to have to figure out how to stay cool. Dr. Suzette Oyeku is here with some tips to keep your kids protected if they're going to be outside. She's also the chief of academic general pediatrics for the Children's Hospital at Montefiore in New York. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. Happy July 4th.
Happy July 4th, Dr. Oyeku. What precautions should parents take? Just start there if their kids are going to be out in this heat.
So as a pediatrician, I think a couple of things we recommend is, one, for young kids, you want to make sure that they're always being supervised closely. The other is, if you're going to take them to the pool or the beach, because many people are trying to go there to cool off, make sure there's a lifeguard. If you're using your personal pool, make sure you have somebody dedicated to watch the water, and that they're not distracted. Make sure also that their children and teens stay well hydrated, even if they say that they're not thirsty, and make sure that they're not around the grills and fires and lawnmowers. Particularly today is July 4th, so a lot of people might be thinking about, playing, letting off fireworks. But I encourage people to let the professionals do that. And really, they're pretty to look at, but we know every year there are injuries related to fireworks.
No, that's so true. And I mean, even if you follow those tips, you got to be mindful of length of time in the heat. So how long should kids be out in high temperatures safely? And also, where should parents draw the line? At what temperature is it just too much for a young one to be outside?
Great question. So we look at something called the heat index, which tells us how hot somebody feels, and particularly it's a mixture of the humidity and the temperature. And so it's going to depend on the age of the child, but also the size. We know younger kids are at higher risk in terms of heat exposure and in terms of what that can do to them. So you want to monitor the child's activity levels. So if they had a lot of activity at the beginning of the time they were outside, and now they seem pretty fatigued and drained, that may be a tip that they need to come inside, cool off for a little bit, because they may be at higher risk for heat exhaustion, which could progress into heat stroke. We know that anybody being outside with a heat index greater than 90, they're going to be at a higher risk for having some of these symptoms related to either heat exhaustion or heat stroke.
So give us some more do's and don'ts if you're a parent, and because it's hard, right?
Yeah.
Especially if you have little kids, to convince them to come inside and not play outside is a tough one.
So obviously, with the warm weather, you want to make sure that they're dressed appropriately. So you want to make sure that they're wearing lightweight clothing. For the youngest kids, if they're less than 6 months of age, you want to make sure that you have an umbrella or some sort of canopy over the stroller to provide some shade. make sure sunscreen, and that should be with the SPF of 15 or higher, and that includes people of color. You definitely need to make sure that you're wearing sunscreen. Also, wearing sunglasses to protect these eyes from the UV rays as well. Also, making sure you just stay well hydrated. It's really, really important.
And what are some activities parents can do inside if you are trying to sort of keep your kid out of the heat?
So thank you. So a couple of things that families can do. I think one is either playing puzzles, colors, doing arts and crafts, doing board games. We do encourage you to limit screen time. So we know that sometimes the teens or even the younger kids want to watch the tablet or do video games, but make sure you limit that screen time.
Yeah.
You can also bake or cook, but obviously if it's very warm outside, you might not want to use your oven. Reading books, and then also dancing is my favorite one.
Love that. It's my favorite too. Dr. Suzette Oyeku, thank you so much.
There's much more ahead.
Thank you so
You're
much.
watching NBC News Daily.
Asthma isn't pretty. It's the moment when you realize that a good day is about to become a bad one. But then I remembered that the world is so much bigger than that with Trelegy. Because one dose a day helps keep my asthma symptoms under control. And with 3 medicines and 1 inhaler, Trelegy helps improve lung function so I can breathe easier for a full 24 hours.
Trelegy won't replace a rescue inhaler for sudden breathing problems. Trelegy contains a medicine that increases risk of hospitalizations and death from asthma problems when used alone. When this medicine is used with an inhaled corticosteroid, like in Trelegy, there is not a significant increased risk of these events. Do not take Trelegy more than prescribed. Trelegy may increase risk of thrush and infections. Get emergency care for serious allergic reactions. See your doctor if your asthma does not improve or gets worse.
Ask your doctor about once daily Trelegy for asthma, because breathing should be beautiful.
Ashley's Stars and Stripes mattress sale is happening now. Right now, you can save up to $500 on new mattress arrivals like the Temper Breeze and Purple Luxe mattresses. Plus, pay 0% interest for 60 months. Shop and save today, only at Ashley.
When you have chronic kidney disease, there are places you'd like to be. Like here. And here. Not so much here. If you have chronic kidney disease, Farxiga can help you keep living life. Farxiga. And Farxiga reduces the risk of kidney failure, which can lead to dialysis.
Farxiga can cause serious side effects, including dehydration, urinary tract or genital yeast infections in women and men, and low blood sugar. Ketoacidosis is a serious side effect that may lead to death. A rare, life-threatening bacterial infection in the skin of the perineum could occur. Stop taking Farxiga and call your doctor right away if you have symptoms of this bacterial infection, an allergic reaction, or ketoacidosis.
Farxiga can help you keep living life. Ask your doctor for Farxiga for chronic kidney disease. If you can't afford your medication, AstraZeneca may be able to help.
Farxiga. Ashley's Stars and Stripes sale is happening now. Don't miss instant savings on select items up to $1,000 off. And all veterans and active military will receive 10% off their purchase. Plus, get 60-month special financing. Shop and save today, only at Ashley.
This is the Fast Forward on NBC News Daily. I'm Audrey Assistio. Well, it is the 4th of July, which is a lot of fun for all of us humans, but it can be really rough on our furry friends. FEMA says more pets are reported missing today and tomorrow than any other days of the year. So here's some quick tips to keep your pets safe and sound. Keep them in a secure area inside with plenty of water. Have some ambient noise like a TV to drown out the fireworks. Make sure their tags and chips are updated in case they do slip away. And of course, staying by their side is the best way to make sure they make it through. All right, we are now in a cooling trend you may have noticed following this past weekend's scorching hot temps. Here's meteorologist Carrie Hall with our 7-day forecast.
Well, happy 4th of July to you. Hopefully you're able to enjoy more time outside now that these temperatures are coming down, even for the inland areas. We're reaching into the low to mid 80s for today, and it's going to cool off quickly for tonight in time for the fireworks. And if you're going back to work tomorrow, we're only looking at highs up to about 80 degrees. We're on a cooling trend where those temperatures dip the lowest on Thursday with highs in the mid 70s. And then it does start to warm up gradually going into the weekend. It's not unbearably warm until about early early next week, we'll restart to see those temperatures trending back to the 90s inland. And for San Francisco, we're looking at low clouds and fog, and highs will continue to reach into the 60s into the weekend.
Looks really good. Carrie, thank you. We'll be back in 1 minute with more news. Stay with us.
At Lazy Boy Furniture Galleries, we know everyone has their favorite spot. It's the 4th of July sale. For a limited time, you can save 30% on everything in the store. Lazy Boy Furniture Galleries. Live life comfortably.
I got hurt by a speeding driver, and I've got a lot of medical bills. I can't afford to hire a lawyer.
My brother and I decided we'd never charge anything up front to start working on your case.
We're
the Law Brothers.
Call now or visit lawbrothers.com.
The Ford Store Morgan Hills 4th of July Sell-A-Thon is going on now through July 5th only. Ford just announced an additional $1,000 Ford rebate. Plus, Ford is offering 0% financing on many new Ford models. Plus, get our everyday low bottom line sale prices clearly marked in all 350 new and pre-owned vehicles window. Come experience transparent pricing at your #1 Ford dealer in the entire Bay Area. The Ford Store Morgan Hill during our 4th of July Sell-A-Thon.
The program we're talking about is called Clear Reserve, and it's your ticket to bypass the TSA line. Here's how. You reserve a time slot in advance to clear airport security. When we made this video, Clear Reserve was available at these 18 airports. Sorry, San Francisco Bay Area, no SFO, SJC, or Oakland yet. But maybe you can reserve at your destination. Let's be clear about Clear. It's a company that sells a yearly membership for a quicker route through airport security at lots of airports. But Clear Reserve is separate. It's free. You reserve it one flight at a time and only at select airports. A Clear rep told us the goal of free reserve lanes is to help minimize peak travel periods in the airport, which reduces wait times and creates a better experience for all travelers, even those who don't use Reserve. I used Clear Reserve recently in Orlando. Let me show you how easily it worked. The day before my flight, I went to clearme.com. Next, I clicked For You at the top and then Reserve. Originally, I tried to book 7 days out, but it wouldn't let me and told me to check back closer to my flight. The Clear website says the booking window varies by location. The rest of the process only took about 90 seconds. I shared basic information like my name, my destination, my flight number, and how many people were in my party. Side note, 10. That's the max. Next, Clear asked me when I wanted to clear the security checkpoint. I had a 6 a.m. flight, so I asked for a 5 a.m. slot. Within a few seconds, Clear emailed me a QR code, my ticket to bypass the TSA line. On my travel day, I just showed my QR code to a Clear rep who directed me to the Clear Reserve line. I was first in line. Meanwhile, I would say there are about 200 people in the regular TSA line. Try to be punctual. Clear says it only holds those reserved spots for 20 minutes after your reservation time. After that, you're back in the regular line. Again, when we made this video, Clear Reserve was only available at these 18 airports. To see if it's available at your airport, check clearme.com or the airport's website. You can also ping the airport on social media. Most are pretty good about responding to passengers.
That is an amazing tip, Chris. Thank you. And that does it for this edition of the Fast Forward. We will see you here once again at 4:30 with more news. Until then, take care and happy 4th of July.
My active psoriatic arthritis can make me feel like I'm losing my rhythm. With Skyrizi to treat my skin and joints, I'm getting into my groove. Along with significantly clearer skin, Skyrizi helps me move with less joint pain, stiffness, swelling, and fatigue. And is just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses. Skyrizi attaches to and reduces a source of excess inflammation that can lead to skin and joint symptoms. With Skyrizi, 90% clearer skin and less joint pain are possible.
Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms, had a vaccine, or plan to.
Thanks to Skyrizi, there's nothing like clearer skin and better movement. And that means everything. Now's the time to ask your doctor about Skyrizi. Learn how AbbVie could help you save.
Ashley's Stars and Stripes mattress sale is happening now. Right now, you can save up to $500 on new mattress arrivals like the Temper Breeze and Purple Luxe mattresses. Plus, pay 0% interest for 60 months. Shop and save today, only at Ashley.
Having triplets is amazing.
Expensive.
So we switched to the bargain detergent, but we ended up using 3 times as much, and the clothes still weren't as clean as with Tide.
So we're back with Tide, and the clothes are clean again.
Do 3 times the laundry and get a Tide clean. It's got to be Tide.
This is life or death.
Oh my gosh. One bad moment changes your life forever.
16, gunshot wound, sheriff on scene.
Not much more we can do. His life is literally in our hands. Clear. Hey, we got a pulse.
Our big adventure begins now!
Showtime.
Welcome to the Continental.
Can I get an amen? Amen.
Is it too much?
That is cinema.
That was awesome!
Today on Access Daily, it's the season finale of The Voice tonight.
We got Chance the Rapper in studio.
Oh, Access Daily starts now.
Welcome to Access Daily from Universal Studios Hollywood. I'm Kid Hoover with Mario Lopez. And guys, Ludacris just received a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. The rapper and actor is on top of the world right now. He's got his movie Fast 10, also killing it at the box office. Scott just took Ludacris for a ride on the back lot at Universal Studios Hollywood. They had a lot to catch up on.
You ready?
Sounds good.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Luda! Roll out.
But we were talking about roll out, right? Roll out. Roll out.
I've come to bring your son back to you.